now to Miami. Mayor Francis Suarez, a Republican. He had COVID early in this pandemic. Florida also just passed more than 2 million known cases. And Mayor, again, to be clear, for folks not familiar with the geography of that part of the state, the spring break issues that we were just talking about, that's happening in neighboring Miami Beach. But I would like to know what kind of trouble you've been seeing in your city. How concerned are you that it could upset any progress that Miami has been making with this pandemic?
Well, we're obviously concerned, and we're obviously preparing ourselves for the possibility that there may be spillover from some of these actions that are taken in Miami Beach with the early curfews and the early shutting down of the causeways of people entering Miami Beach. So we're prepared for that. Thankfully and luckily, this weekend when the curfews began, we did not see any of those effects in some of the parts of the city where we would normally see an uptick. So that's something that we're preparing for, but it's obviously a major concern for us. The challenge that Miami Beach is dealing with is something that is basically unprecedented. And as was said in the prior segment, in about a 1 square mile area of the beach, where you have, as you can see from the images on the screen, a significantly high volume of people, much more than what is reasonable and what is sort of controllable. And that's, causing, unfortunately, some very, very disturbing incidents in the beach.
For the first time here recently, just a few moments ago, we heard during the COVID briefing that the daily average, nationally, it's now up slightly. There are growing concerns that the progress we've been making, that progress is going to be stunted by some of the images that we've seen come out of South Florida. The mayor of Miami Beach partially blames Florida's lax protocols for enticing these tourists to your area, Mayor Suarez. Do you feel the same? Do you share that sentiment?
Look, there's no doubt that Miami and the Miami area and the state are probably one of the most open states in the entire country, and that's created sort of a perfect storm where you have people that can come to Miami. It's very inexpensive. I've been told some of the flights are $50, and even the hotels are very, very inexpensive. So, it's been a sort of a very difficult mix of inexpensive flights, inexpensive hotels, and being known as probably the most open place in the country. So that's certainly made it more challenging.
Let's talk about the rollout there. Vaccine eligibility right now, as I understand it, there in Florida, opens up to anyone 50 and older today. Zeroing in on vaccines, the Associated Press reports an analysis it conducted found that a rapid COVID-19 vaccine rollout backfired in some U.S. states. Quote, states like South Carolina and Florida that raced ahead of others to offer the vaccine to ever larger groups of people have vaccinated smaller shares of their population than those that moved more slowly and methodically, like Hawaii and Connecticut. Boils down to states expanding eligibility too quickly and not meeting demand early on. Considering Miami-Dade was at one point the epicenter of the pandemic there in Florida, how would you evaluate the vaccine rollout and the support that you've gotten there so far to do it?
Well, we've been trying to make sure that we message that people need to take the vaccine. We had early issues with not enough people in the African-American community being vaccinated. So we opened up a vaccination site, a walk-up site in the heart of one of our traditional African-American neighborhoods. So that's been part of it. The other part of it is there hasn't been as much demand in certain sectors as we thought there would be. So we've worked with the state. We've actually worked with the White House. I was up in the White House a few weeks ago and asked the president directly for more vaccine. And he opened up a federal vaccination site the following Tuesday after I asked for it on Friday. So, to the White House's credit, they were very responsive. The state has been responsive. And we're trying to do the very best we can, understanding that this is a once in a lifetime, once in a generational situation. And we want to make sure that we don't waste any time in allowing people to get life-saving vaccines that could prevent them from not only themselves having a life-threatening illness, but their family members and friends.
Mayor Francis Suarez, Mayor of Miami. Mayor, thanks as always. Thank you. Do appreciate your time, sir.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.